Let Mr. Barker finish his questions, okay? There's just a little bit of where you start to answer a question. It's okay, you're not doing anything wrong, but just to make a clear record, just go ahead and wait until the attorney finishes the question, okay?
All right.
Barker?
Thank you. I'm finished with the questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Lucinda.
Mr. Griffin?
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Bruce Griffin. I'm counsel for Mr. Gooch. I have some questions for you, all right?
All right.
Thanks. I want to ask you about your reference to strange cars. It is uncommon to see strange cars in your community. Is that fair?
It's become somewhat common, it seems like. But it's,
You go back to January the 18th, that time, the time of Sasha's disappearance. Would it have been uncommon then?
yeah, it was a little uncommon.
Is it more uncommon if it was in the night?
Oh, yes.
And you said that somebody looks out for things like that, and you made a reference to the gentleman that you contacted that night. Is that right?
Yes.
So that night, that day, did you see anything that stood out to you as being out of the ordinary?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Did you see any strange cars, quote unquote?
I don't remember that I did.
You were interviewed by law enforcement. You recall that?
Yes.
Basically, everybody was, right?
A lot of people were, yes.
And you didn't tell them at that time that you had any memory of a strange car, did you?
I don't know.
You don't remember today.
I don't.
But what we just determined would be that given that Sasha disappeared, if there had been a strange car, that probably would have been memorable to you at the time. Is that fair?
If I would have seen it, yes.
Oh, you don't remember seeing any cars, any strangers walking around?
No.
This gentleman, Mark Gooch, that's seated next to me, you had never seen him before January the 18th. Is that fair?
No.
Didn't know him,
No.
never heard of him,
No, I don't think so.
never heard of Sasha referring to him.
No.
You were asked generally nothing about when you went to the church at 1:30 with Lily. Nothing about the church stood out to you as unusual or a problem. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Nothing disturbed.
No.
And that was you both. And did you go through the entirety of the building or just the downstairs, just the upstairs, or do you recall?
I think we went through the whole thing.
When you looked at when you looked at Sasha's car, same question. Anything unusual or out of the ordinary with her car?
I don't notice details very much, so I really don't remember.
The short answer is no, nothing that you can recall.
No.
Nobody near her car?
What was that?
Nobody near her car? No person near her car?
No.
When did you know what specifically Sasha was going to do at the church?
No, I can't say I did.
No further. Thank you.
Mr. Barker?
Nothing further. Thank you.
All right, do any of the jurors have a question for this witness before the witness is excused? All right, so if you do, just write your question down and just pass it all the way down towards the bailiff, so the bailiff gets it, please. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Folks that are listening in on the phone, please mute yourselves because I can still hear things in the background. So please mute yourselves if you're on the phone listening to the court proceedings. Was there another question? I'm sorry. Oh, there was. Okay. Thank you. Counsel, please join me sidebar. So if you don't understand the question, then let us know. All right. Does she recall what Sasha was wearing the last time she saw her when she was in the kitchen?
I don't.
What is the distance between Lucinda's room to Sasha's room?
Well, they're next to each other. They shared a wall. So from door to door, 12 feet maybe.
Now, there's a word missing at the end of this question, so if you can answer it, let us know. If you can't, let us know. What time did Lucinda call and speak to? So if you can answer it, go ahead. If you can't, just tell us. The attorneys get to do follow-up. And this is just a reminder to the jurors, please understand, I will not, we cannot edit your questions in any way. So just remember when you're writing out questions for potential witnesses, write it out as if you were asking the question of them completely and fully. Okay. I'll repeat it. If you, again, any question I ask, if you can answer it, then answer it. If you can't, because for whatever reason, including that you don't understand the question, just let us know that. What time did Lucinda call and speak to?
Probably they meant Kurt Morse.
So if that's the person they're asking, then go ahead. If you can.
If we left the house a few minutes after 1:30, it might be fair to say around 2 o'clock or a little bit before I called Kurt.
Did Lucinda and Lily attempt to walk up to Sasha's new home? If not, can Lucinda provide any additional info as to why?
I think we waited until Kurt Morse was helping us search because we're a little careful just where we walk, and her house is sort of back on the edge of our little area, and it didn't really feel safe to go up there, just us.
How well lit was the lower parking area?
I don't remember.
What did you do between Sasha heading to church and your bedtime?
It was just a calm evening there at the house. I think maybe some journaling and just a quiet Saturday evening at home.
All right, jurors, last opportunity. Any other questions for this witness before I turn the witness over to counsel for follow-up? Okay, apparently no other questions. Mr. Barker.
Thank you, Lucinda. Just on the question about going up to Sasha's new place, what would have been her new place? You mentioned something about a search later. So once Kurt was involved and other people in the community, was there a search of that entire area?
There was. Kurt and Lily and me searched. Yeah, after he came to join us, we searched through the church house again. And I think we went and looked at her little trailer up on the hill and Lamp and Light. And Kurt came with us into our house too to search, to glance around a little bit. Yes.
And in any of those locations you described, was there anything that stood out to you?
I don't think so.
Right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Griffin.
No additional questions.
Okay. Mr. Barker, may this witness be excused?
Yes, thank you.
All right, you are excused, which means you can step down and you're excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, it's just a couple minutes before 3, so we're just a little bit shy of an hour and a half. I think it's a good opportunity. Just go ahead and take our afternoon break before the next witness it comes into the courtroom. So we're going to take a 15-minute recess. Now, remember the admonition. Keep an open mind. Do not formulate any opinions about the case. Do not talk to anyone about the case. Do not let anyone talk to you about it, including each other. We stand in recess for 15 minutes.
for 9 years.
And so you've lived in that community for 9 years then?
That's right.
All right. And while you were living there, did you know Sasha Krause?
Yes.
All right. And how long did you know her?
For maybe up to close to a year.
Close to a year. All right. Were you friends with Sasha?
Yes.
All right. Now that community, we've heard a little bit about that from Lily and Lucinda, who lived there as well. How many folks are there in that Mennonite community?
I wouldn't really know.
More than 100? Less than 100?
I'd say it's less than 100.
Okay. And the main, I guess, structures in that area would be the Gingrich home, right?
And the Lamp and Light.
And the Lamp and Light is the publishing house, right? Those two. And then, of course, you have the church, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you about the day of January 18th, 2020. Is that a day you recall?
Yes.
Okay. What were you doing that day?
I was working at the Gingrich home.
All right. So you were at your work, and when would you end work on that Saturday?
That day I got off about, I'd say I left the building maybe 7:30 or 8, somewhere in there.
Okay. Was that common that you would finish work at around that time?
It just depends.
So it would fluctuate?
Yes.
But that day you recall 7:30 or 8, you're leaving the building, the Gingrich home?
Yes.
Okay. And then do you recall what the weather was like that night?
I just know it was a dark, clear night.
Right. Was it cold?
I don't recall.
Do you remember wearing a coat or a jacket?
No, I don't remember.
All right. Is that area, at least back then, was it pretty dark?
Yes.
In other words, there weren't a whole lot of exterior lighting on roadways. Is that fair?
No, there wasn't much.
Okay. So when you're walking, and were you walking back home from work? You weren't driving.
No, I was walking.
You were walking. Okay. And when you were walking, which route would you take? How would you get home?
Well, I often went up by the church.
All right. So you'd pass the church building on your way home?
Yes.
Did you live by yourself?
I'm sorry, I can't even remember.
You can't remember back then? Okay. Do you live by yourself now?
No.
All right. And do you live in the same place you lived before?
Yes.
And where is that located in relationship to the church?
Maybe like 2 trailers behind.
Okay.
Towards the hill.
Up by the hill. So there's a hill that says Lamp and Light on it, right?
Yes.
Is it up closer to that hillside?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So you're walking home. Tell the jury what you recall seeing as you got close to the church.
Well, I saw a vehicle sitting down below by the church, by the school doors.
Okay. And what was that vehicle? What did it look like?
It was I couldn't see much. It was a darker vehicle.
All right. Do you know whose car that was?
I mean, like now? No, I don't. I didn't know whose it was.
Didn't know who it was.
No.
Okay. Was it a truck or a van or a passenger car? What can you tell us?
It was more like a van type, probably.
All right. Did you see anybody there?
I don't recall seeing anybody.
All right. But you didn't recognize the car at the time
No, I did not.
as belonging to anybody in the community?
No.
Did you know Samuel Kuhn back then?
Yes.
And was he a member of that community?
Yes.
All right. Do you know what car he was driving that time back in 2020?
I don't keep track of his vehicles.
All right. That's fair. Is it fair to say that you don't pay attention to vehicles generally?
Yes, that's very fair.
All right. So that day you see this car, you're not sure who it is. Did you see, and you mentioned you didn't see anybody walking around, is that right? Down in that basement area?
I don't recall seeing
Right.
anyone.
Do you recall seeing any lights on in the church at that point?
No.
Okay. So you're walking past the church and then it kind of goes up a hill. Is that right?
Yes.
And then there's an upper parking lot area, which would be the main floor of the church. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see any cars up there?
I saw a car that I later recognized as Sasha's there.
Okay. Did you see anyone in the car or around the car?
No.
Did you see any lights in the church on that upper floor?
No.
Did you have any plan of going inside the church to see if Sasha was there?
I did. Yeah.
Did you go inside?
No.
Why not?
Because I saw it was so dark and I just decided to not go in.
Okay.
I figured she's not there.
Right. Do you know what time exactly you were at the church when you're passing by?
It was probably close to 8.
All right, around 8 p.m.
Yes.
All right. So you didn't see anybody in Sasha's car, nobody around it. You didn't see any lights on in the church, right?
No.
Okay. And then where did you go from there?
Then I went on home.
Okay. Let me show you a couple exhibits that have been admitted. We'll project them on the screen here. I'll ask you some questions, okay? All right, let's start with exhibit 133. Can you see that, Esther?
Yes.
All right. What are we looking at?
The church.
All right. And this will be the lower level, right, of the church, the basement area?
Yes.
So you could park a car in these areas here and enter the church through that door. Is that right?
You could.
Now you mentioned a vehicle that you saw in this lower area. Where was that parked?
It was about right where you made your little arrow go.
All right. We're kind of right in front of the door area
Yeah, right down just a little bit.
here.
I meant
What-
towards the door.
It might be easier. There's a laser pointer up there. You see it? There's a red button. It looks like a pen. May I approach this?
May.
Unless somebody took it.
Oh, this.
Yep. So you can push that button there. Okay. Can you point out where that car was located?
I-
Kind of hitting the wall there.
About right there.
Okay. All right. Just in that gravel area. And then let me show you exhibit 123. Can you see that?
Yes.
What are we looking at?
It's 3 vehicles.
Okay. Do you know what vehicle this is in the middle?
I don't remember.
Remember what kind of car Sasha had?
Well, I thought it looked sort of like it, but I wasn't sure if it was hers. So
It's okay. I'm not going to have you guess. But did Sasha's car look like this, kind of the silver passenger car?
yeah.
Do you know whose cars these are? There's a white van and another dark vehicle here.
It looks like people from church, but I don't know.
Okay. Again, you're not the vehicle expert.
I am not.
So this is the upper level of that church, right? Towards the entrance.
Yes.
Is this about where you recall Sasha's car being parked when you were walking past?
Yes.
Let me show you one more. This is exhibit 83. Can you see that?
Yes.
So this has been described as kind of an aerial view of the lamp and light area. Is that what that looks like to you?
Yes.
All right, let me zoom in a little bit here. You can see the church labeled here. Is that what that building is?
Yes.
Okay. And the Gingrich home would be down here. Is that right? This brown roof?
Yes.
Okay. Can you, with your laser pointer, show us the route you took from the Gingrich home past the church?
If I can keep it straight in my mind, how it goes.
Okay.
I left, went down the parking lot.
And if you
And
need
then-
it's kind of hitting that wall. If you need to stand up,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
it's okay. You're just gonna have to speak real loud.
It went down the parking lot, the pavement there, and then went on up. Like that.
Okay, thank you. So just so we can get it on the record here, you went out the parking lot, kind of the entrance of the parking lot, and up the road, kind of the main dirt road in town. Is that fair?
Yes,
And past the church, and that's when you saw the vehicle down below, and then Sasha's car up above.
yes,
All right. Can you see your trailer in this, your house in this image here in 83?
it would, yeah, I can see it.
Can I help you out? Is it this one?
No, it'd be the next one.
This one higher up on the hill?
I think it's that one.
All right, thank you. May I have a moment?
Okay, the lights, please. Thank you.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you, Esther.
Thank you. Mr. Griffin?
I need to access a couple of exhibits. If I could take a minute. Good afternoon, ma'am. Sorry for the delay. My name's Bruce Griffin. I represent Mark Gooch. I have some questions for you, all right?
Right.
All right, thank you. I want to go back and ask you some questions about your observations that night regarding some vehicles, all right?
All right.
All right, so we've had some discussion about that, limited discussion so far, but I want to go back and see if we can be a little bit more detailed. So what you've referenced so far are two different vehicles that you saw at the church area on the night that Sasha disappeared. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Now, one of the vehicles, and we'll take them maybe in reverse order. Let's talk about the vehicle you knew to be Sasha's. Back then, back more than a year ago on the 18th of January, did you know what kind of car Sasha had?
No.
Right. Were you able to recognize it without knowing whether it was a Ford, Toyota, Chevy, whatever? Were you able to recognize it?
Yes.
So what you saw that night, you recognized to be Sasha's car.
Yes.
Was there any doubt about that to you?
No.
Okay, so it was familiar to you, familiar enough that that's what in your mind, that's what you concluded. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Now, the other car, and well, let me finish with that. So the car you identified to be Sasha's car was parked in the upper area where the main church entrance is, not the lower level where the basement entrance is, correct?
Correct.
Is that right?
That's right.
You got to speak louder, okay? Because we're straining to hear you. Get all the way up to it. It's hard sometimes, I think, for folks. Okay. Yep, there we go. Thank you so much.
You're doing great. So we've established that to be what you saw, right?
Right.
Now, as counsel said, you didn't see any movement or any people associated with that car. Is that correct?
No, I did not. See.
Now, working my way back as you walked by, you indicated that you saw another car that was located in a different place. Is that correct?
It was another vehicle.
Another vehicle. Was that vehicle recognizable to you?
No,
Is that vehicle in any way familiar to you?
no,
Vehicles that aren't familiar kind of stand out when you know everybody in the community. Is that right?
kind of.
Kind of. All right. So kind of, did the appearance of that vehicle kind of make you scratch your head and wonder what's going on?
Yes,
Right. Did you do anything to investigate that strange vehicle?
no, besides looking.
Right. So you looked. Now, we all appreciate that some time has passed from when you made these observations that night. And it was a significant and difficult night as it turned out. But do you remember interviewing with law enforcement about what you saw? Because, let me answer that. Go ahead and answer that, please.
Yes, they interviewed me.
All right. The law enforcement people came and talked to you about what you saw. Is that right?
Yes,
Right. And one of the things they talked to you about was the vehicle, correct?
I don't recall, but I think they did.
Have you ever seen a transcript, a word-for-word transcript of your interview with law enforcement?
Yes,
Did counsel give that to you and have you review it before you appeared today?
yes,
And did you have a chance to review it?
yes,
And did your review of that transcript refresh your recollection as to what you told law enforcement about what you saw that night?
I did some.
So what do you remember about what you told law enforcement that you haven't told us today?
I don't know.
Let's talk about color for a minute. Remember talking to law enforcement, not about, as you told us, a dark car, but a different color. What about that?
You mean at the church?
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing more at the church than that darker vehicle and Sasha's car.
You remember talking to church about seeing a white colored car.
I had seen a white truck, but that wasn't at the church.
All right. I'm going to give you a transcript from, well, let me say this. Is it your statement today that you never told the law enforcement that you saw a white colored vehicle parked at the church?
I don't recall telling them that.
Your testimony that what you saw was some white colored truck at a different time at a different location has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now?
What was that again?
Well, so when did you see a white truck?
It was before I ever left the Gingrich home that I saw a white truck.
So maybe we approach it this way. Did you see 3 vehicles that night that were different to you?
Yes,
Right. So we've established the one vehicle that you recognize to be Sasha's, correct?
yes,
Now, let's clear up these other 2 vehicles we're now talking to. So a second vehicle you saw parked at the church around 8 o'clock. Is that correct?
yes,
And you saw that as you walked home from your work over at the Gingrich house.
yes.
Right. And that vehicle, was that vehicle white in color?
At the church?
Yeah.
I just remembered it being dark.
Now, do you recall whether you saw or told, well, let me break it down this way. Do you recall seeing anybody near or next to or in any way associated with that vehicle?
I don't recall.
So is that the best you can recall for us right now about what you saw with the car parked at the lower level?
Yes,
You recall whether it had a hatchback or not?
I don't remember.
Now, let's go to car number 3, okay? There's a third car that you're talking about. Is that right?
Okay.
I'm asking you. Is that right?
Which one do you mean?
Talking about the third car that we haven't talked about yet, this white truck. You know, you're telling me about a white truck. Is that
Okay.
right?
Yes,
Okay. Tell the jury where you saw the white truck.
I'm supposed to say where it was like about, It was before you get to church, like at that curve before you come to church.
All right, so we've seen the diagram, and there's a road that comes in front of the church, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about where you saw the white truck.
It would have been right there about just coming up to where it intersects there.
In front of the church?
No, intersects below the church.
Below the church, all right.
Like it was still below the graveyard yet.
Can you tell us what your position was? Where were you when you saw that?
I was standing at the Ginreach home
Were you
at the door.
about to leave?
Yes.
So it would have been the same time frame,
Similar.
around 8 o'clock. Is that accurate?
Probably. I mean, I don't recall the time frame.
Not much time between when you saw that vehicle and when you saw the others. Is that right?
There would have been maybe about 5 minutes time in between.
So after, well, let me be clear. So in your mind, the vehicle that you saw that when you were at the Gingrich house was different than the vehicle you saw at the church at the lower level. Is that right?
Yes.
And the car that went by the church was, went by the Gingrich house, you described as a white color
Yes.
truck.
Yes.
You were asked whether you know Sam Kuhn or not. Do you know a Sam Kuhn?
Yes.
You did not know what kind of vehicle he drove at the time?
I think he usually drove a van, but I don't know.
You don't know. All right. So was the white colored vehicle that you saw familiar to you?
No.
And did that raise a question in your mind as to why there would be a strange white colored vehicle? Did you say speeding by, or was it going a normal speed?
It was a normal speed.
Normal speed at that time of night.
What was it?
Usual.
I don't know, because it's people come on the compound and go off different times.
Same question about a car parked at the church, a car that you didn't recognize parked at the church. Was that unusual?
No, because it was a Saturday night and people will come to church.
So are there regular church services conducted on a Saturday night at the Mennonite facility in Farmington?
No,
What do you mean by that?
we would be preparing for the next day. And they were just gathering, people can gather things for the next day.
Do you recognize the driver, or did you see a driver of the white pickup truck as you've described?
No,
And did you get a look at anybody inside the other vehicle parked at the church at the lower level?
no,
Do you know an individual named Elvin Stossful? I may be pronouncing that right. Stoltzful. Elvin.
I don't. How did you say the name again?
I would pronounce it Stoltzful. F-U-L. Stoltzful.
I don't know any Stoltzful.
Know anybody named Elvin that's a member of the community or resides at or near the community on or about October 18, 2020?
I know of an Elvin that lives there, but I don't know if he was there or not.
How do you know Elvin?
He would be there on that, right off the compound there.
He lives there?
Yes,
A member of the community?
yes,
You've known him for how long?
since I've been there.
Did you have any conversation with Elvin after January 18th, 2020? Did you have any conversation about Elvin and whether he saw anything that night?
No,
I can have one more moment, Your Honor. When you talk to law enforcement, and you told them that you saw a vehicle at the church at the lower level, do you remember describing whether you saw any person at all?
I don't recall.
Permission to approach with Exhibit 17, please.
All right. And Mr. Barker, you're aware of the exhibit?
I believe it's a state's exhibit. That's fine.
Okay. Yes, you may approach the witness.
I'd ask you to just take a look at this in total and review it and see if that matches up with the transcript you were previously provided with your interview regarding your interview with law enforcement. Whatever amount of detail you need to look at, but does that seem familiar to you?
Yes.
Is that the interview that you looked at previously?
Yes.
And can you turn to the section where you're talking about the vehicle that's parked at the church? I can help you find it if you need me to. Do you have that section?
I think so.
And in that section, is there not a description about when you're looking at the vehicle that's parked at the church, that you looked and saw legs walking either next to or adjacent to that vehicle? Is that right?
But that's what I thought it could have been, but I didn't, you know how eyes can see stuff, so I didn't know for sure. So I don't know if I did or didn't.
Well, that's not what you said then. What you said then was that you saw legs, right?
It says I couldn't see any other movement, so I didn't know if I'd seen it or not.
I'm sorry.
It says I didn't see any other movement.
You saw that. You saw legs.
Okay. I don't recall seeing them
But that's
anymore.
I'm just trying to clarify. That's your statement back at the time, close in time to when this situation occurred. And what you said was that you saw legs, right?
That's what this says.
And that's a transcript. You don't dispute that that's a transcript of what you said to law enforcement, right?
Yes.
Just a moment, please.
Certainly.
I want to now approach with permission, Plaintiff's Exhibit 18.
Yes, you may.
We never met, but you recall doing a telephonic interview with me back some months ago?
Yes.
Right. And that would have been somewhere around September 3rd of 2021. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
All right. Have you had a chance to review that transcript before?
Yes.
All right. You recall talking to me about the white car and these various cars that you're describing?
Yes.
All right. And I'm going to direct your attention to review this and see if it that's what you reviewed, and then I'm going to ask you a specific question, again, referring to that exhibit. Does that look familiar to you? Is that, in your opinion, is that the transcript of your interview?
Yes.
And have you, can you go to the section where you're talking about the white vehicle that you saw? Do you see that section?
Yes.
Do you talk about it as driving by you while you're at the Gingrich house?
On here?
Yeah.
No, it's not on here.
It's not. So can I help you for just permission to approach?
You may.
Let's do that back for just 1 second. So I'm directing your attention to page 14 and 15 of the transcript. 15. As I asked you about the vehicle that went by, that drove by, and I asked you whether you described that as a white SUV. You recall that question?
Yes. I thought it was asked if it was a truck or an SUV. Sorry.
You answered, am I correct, that I wonder if it wasn't a truck, but yeah, it was something white. I didn't take it real close. And then I asked you further again, did you see that vehicle again? No, I did not. You then further said, so it was just a glimpse of something white, maybe an SUV, maybe a truck. Is that what you're saying? That's right. Is that fair? Is that a fair understanding of what you told me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, sure.
Do you have any knowledge of what kind of a car Mark Gooch had at the time?
No.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Mr. Barker.
All right, Esther, just a few more questions. Thank you. Regarding the question council was asking you about the legs, seeing some legs. Now, go back to that exhibit again, exhibit 17. Let's be very specific about what you said. And let's go to the same page that council is referring to. This is page 14.
Mr. Barker. Oh, sorry. You may.
Page 14 of that exhibit, top of the page. How do you refer to seeing those legs? Do you say, I'm absolutely certain there are legs? What do you say?
I'm not certain that it was.
What do you say in that transcript to the police right after this happened?
It's just like I just thought I saw a pair of legs.
I thought. Okay, so even then you weren't sure about what you were seeing. Is that fair?
No, I wasn't sure.
Right. And the same thing could be said about this white car or truck or SUV, right? In other words, you didn't know what kind of vehicle you were seeing when you were looking at this white vehicle.
Well, I think it was more of a truck, but no, I don't know what it was.
And as you mentioned earlier, that wouldn't have been unusual to see a car driving that time of night, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. Is that fair?
Yeah, that wouldn't have been unusual.
At that time, did you think, oh, this is strange, I better call somebody at the church, tell them there's a white vehicle driving around?
No, I didn't.
And even when you saw the car parked in the lower parking lot of the church, did you think that was odd?
Not really.
Because that's something you would have done if you needed to get supplies for a church the next day or get ready for a lesson. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you later learn that that vehicle belonged to Samuel Kuhn?
Objection. Foundation,
Sustained.
leading.
So we already established that Samuel Kuhn was a member of the Mennonite community there, right?
Yes.
And someone you've known how many years now?
A fair amount.
Okay. And do you know what he was driving that time of year, or that, I guess, back in 2020?
It's been asked and answered already.
Overruled.
Do you know?
I don't usually check into what people are driving very much.
All right. And we've established that. I appreciate that, Esther. So even someone in your own community, you weren't keeping tabs on what everyone's driving. Is that fair?
Yeah.
All right. And just regarding that white truck or SUV, whatever you would describe it, I'm sorry, you all right?
Yes, I'll be fine. Go ahead.
You take a minute, just let us know.
Oh, sorry. It's okay. Go ahead.
Is there something upsetting you that I asked, Esther?
No, you're fine.
Is it about Sasha?
It's just the whole scenario of everything, probably.
All right. No, I understand. I appreciate it. Well, just a couple more questions. Thank you. Just regarding the white truck, that wasn't in the church area, was it?
No.
All right. And I think you told council it wasn't speeding. There was nothing suspicious about its movements when you saw it.
Well, not that I could pick out anyway.
Thank you. Esther, those are all the questions. Thank you.
All right. Do any of the jurors have a question for this witness before the witness is excused? Okay. And if you want any water, that is a brand new water for you if you want it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Counsel, would you mind approaching? Now, I read these questions the way they're written. So if at any time you don't understand a question, just let us know. Vehicle you saw, okay, again, I'm just going to read it the way it's written. Vehicle you saw, you said it was a van. Can you describe it in more detail? Question mark. Minivan, delivery van, question mark.
It's for me to answer.
Yes, these questions are for you.
It was probably I don't recall. It was more of a bigger vehicle, probably.
It was more of a what? I'm sorry.
It would have been more of a bigger vehicle, probably.
Oh, okay. And then this is another question. Could it have been a 4-door regular car?
I don't know.
Where and when did witness, so that means you, think she saw legs?
It would have been by that vehicle that looked like a van or similar to a van, and it would have been coming, like I couldn't see, it was too dark. So I don't know if it was legs or not.
And this is the second question. And again, just reading it verbatim the way it's written. How far away was she? They're asking you this question.
Well, I was walking on that lane that goes up past the church. So I don't know how far you judge that.
I'm sorry, so you don't know how far what?
I don't know how many feet you would say that is.
Do you always walk home the same way after work?
Not always.
Do you always get off at the same time?
No.
When walking home, do you always look at the church?
Usually.
Had there been any cars by Sasha's car when the witness walked by the church? So they're asking you that question.
No.
What is the approximate distance between the Gingrich home and the church?
I don't know.
Counsel, I don't know that I can ask this last question the way it's written. Can you approach, please? And to the attorneys and the witnesses, when you write out your questions, write it out as if that's exactly how it was going to be asked of the witness, because I cannot edit or change the words in your questions. I can not ask a question, or I could potentially leave some words out of your question, but I cannot change your question and edit it. All right. When the witness, so they, I believe, are asking you, when the witness noticed the white truck passing by or at the intersection before the church, So let me try. So do you understand the question? So I'm going to do this, but so this is how it's written. I am unclear. Well, I shouldn't be telling you if a juror is unclear. That's not part of the question, but maybe it's going to help you understand the question, and maybe it can help me understand and the attorneys. So it's written like this. I am unclear as to when the witness noticed the white truck passing by or at the intersection before the church. So can you tell the jury, if you know, when did you notice the white truck passing by? And I'm going to let the attorneys do follow-up, so they might be able to do some follow-up to clear up this question. So again, if you understand the question, can you try and answer it? If you don't understand the question, then just let us know that.
Is it asking when I saw the truck?
Well, if you want to assume that's what it means, go ahead and answer it, explaining that's what you understand the question to be, and I'll let the attorneys do follow-up.
I don't know what, yeah.
You don't know what? I'm sorry.
I mean, am I supposed to try to answer what I think, or?
You know what? I think at this point, it sounds like you're confused, and I'm going to let the attorneys try to follow up, see if they can try to decipher what the question's asking. Okay? Mr. Barker?
Let's try to take this chronologically. You got out of the Gingrich home at what time?
When I left, it was probably close to about 5 to 8.
5 to 8 p.m., correct?
Yes,
And the first car you see is a white vehicle, maybe a truck or SUV. Is that fair?
yes,
And that was kind of, I guess, closer to the Gingrich home than the church at that point. Is that true?
yes,
All right. And then you walk up the dirt road toward the church and you see a van, what you think is a van, on that bottom level of the church parking lot, right?
yes,
And then you continue walking up, and on the top level, you see Sasha's car, right?
yes.
Okay. So this is all happening. How long does it take you to walk from the Gingrich home to Sasha's car?
Well, when I had seen that white vehicle before I left the Gingrich home, and then I hadn't left right away.
Okay.
So
What time did you see the white car then?
I think that was maybe, I thought it was maybe about 8:15.
All right. So
Okay.
7:45, you see the white car. Then you leave the Gingrich home at about 5 to 8.
Yes,
And then you're walking up. How long does it take to walk from the Gingrich home to the church?
it's less than maybe about 3 minutes or something,
All right. So maybe 8 o'clock when you actually hit the church.
maybe.
All right. Those are all the follow-up I have, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Griffin?
No, I don't have further questions. Thank you.
You know, I forgot just to confirm that the jury didn't have any other questions when I turned things over to Mr. Barker to try to help with that last question. So let me just make sure. Do any of the jurors have any more questions of this witness before they're excused? Okay. All right. No other questions. May this witness be excused.
Yes, thank you.
All right. You're excused. You can step down. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, it's a little bit after 8. I apologize. It's 4:08. I'm gonna excuse you here in just a few minutes. Just wanted to, we were so close to finishing that last witness. I hope you understand. It's the only reason I kept you. So, and understand too, I hope that no one perceives me giving the jury a difficult time about your questions. I don't mean that. But if you can see, we're not allowed to change your questions in any way. So just think about that. When you go to write a question, think about as if you were asking it yourself of the juror, and that that'll help us understand, I believe, what you're asking. And the attorneys can, of course, do follow-up as you've seen. All right, so because we're not going to see you again until next Tuesday, several days are going to go by. Just want to remind you of the admonition. Please do not formulate any opinions about the case. To keep an open mind. Do not talk to anyone about the case, and do not let anyone talk to you about it, including each other. And remember, stay away from any media on this case. So what I mean by that is if you are watching television or you're reading a newspaper, whether it's online or printed, and if you see anything about the case, please immediately end your exposure to it and report that to me as soon as possible. All right, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. It looks like a beautiful fall day, and hopefully it's a nice fall weekend. So take care. And so remember, Tuesday through Friday of next week, we're in court, in trial, every day, Tuesday through Thursday. I just did it again. Tuesday through Friday, just not Monday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So please be in the jury room no later than, 8:45 would be great, but you could push it to about 8:50. But it's really, really important. I hope you see it's very, very important that you give yourself enough time to park, use the restroom, be ready to go for when we call you. Because my goal is always to try to call you in as soon as right at 9 a.m. for example.
That's how you do control it from them. Oh yeah, you gotta change that SEO though, man, to the name of the case. Yeah, when you get back, I'll show you something. Yeah. I meant to show you earlier, but I forgot. Yeah, everybody, you know, we over here chilling. You know what I mean? I'll be right back. You know what I mean? We outside. Hold on for a second. Hold your thoughts. All right, babe, we're going to end this live real quick. Matter of fact, we're going to keep on with the live. About time they fixing all the grounds. Yeah, good. They got a new mayor or something? For real. Oh, facts. I mean, then they got this crib right here. Okay. I don't mind right here. This crib. Okay. Right here. This? Yeah. What about it? It's nice. You high? I would never live right there. All these cars going by all day. You know how loud that shit is? That's yeah. It's a nice little spot. You can't even sit on your porch. Huh? You can't even sit outside without 1,000 niggas staring all in your house. Oh, look at my crib. Some shit ever jump off. Get in some shit with some nigga. Oh, I know that nigga. Yeah. Come up on him. Yeah. You got to deal with all these trucks early in the morning right here coming up here. Waking you up. Yeah, all that construction. Niggas talking all like, hey, Bob, pull up on the front, pull up on the rear, Bob. Yeah. Nah, you'll hear that shit. 5 o'clock in the morning. Yo, that Wu-Tang series was good. They came out with 5 episodes that everybody could see. Already? Yeah. Oh, so I'm gonna wait till it's over. So the other 5 episodes, you gotta wait. I hate when shows do that shit. That shit is so annoying. Oh, part 1. Then you gotta stay tuned 3 months later. But this is what I like how RZA kept his thought about the team forming.
That's what?
Forming.
What'd you say?
Like I like how the RZA kept it 100 with everybody, and kept it, like, yo, we gotta form this team, my nigga.
Oh, yeah.
Niggas want to make this? Let's do this.
Right.
You feel me? And that's why I had that little mindset too with my niggas. Cause with my niggas, after watching season 1, how he struggled and all that, and part 2, season 2, how he's, that's how I was thinking too in my head. I'm like, damn. You know what I mean? Now, some niggas ain't thinking about that shit now. I don't know. But back then, yeah, niggas was like, yo, niggas want to get out? We got to form this team type shit for us to make it.
You talking about you and your team? You talking about RZA?
Nah, RZA.
Oh, okay.
But in general type shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yo, trust me, we could do this.
Right. What they made over there? In that plaza?
Oh, I don't know.
Did it ever open?
Nah.
That's what I was saying. When I was down here before, like,
Yeah.
it was building it. Yeah, you gotta put a team, but you gotta put together a starting 5, a real team.
Yeah, like.
You can't put together a team of Jacksonville Jaguars. You trying to put together the Jaguars, or you trying to put together the Patriots, nigga? Trying to build. You know what I mean? You can't build it. Trying to build a winning team or a loser team.
Nah, that winning team, baby.
That's what I'm saying. Them niggas.
Yeah, that shit's smell good.
No, where they coming from?
Smell like cookies, right?
Smell like stuff is sweet. That's nice.
Like homemade cookies?
Yeah. That don't come in there.
Probably.
Is he cooking in there? Is he baking in there?
Yeah. I think it's either that one or the next one.
Oh, it's probably that bakery. You heard?
Yeah. You know what I mean? When you try to, like, when you trying to form that team, certain niggas don't want to see it too, like that. They want to see it happen, then they want to come in.
Yeah, it's not a team.
Yeah, if you're telling me you want to see it and then you could come in, the fuck out of here with that. Real talk. You know, real talk. If that's what your mind is going towards, you know.
Yeah, I want to use this 18.
This one?
Yeah, every time I come over here, this shit, it's crowded. Must be a popular thing.
This one or this one?
Which one? I don't know. There one over there?
That one is, that's an ATM machine right there. That one. Yo, I swear to God, niggas be having their cars.
It sounded like a Walkman.
Like that old ass forklift type shit. Like, yeah.
Microphone on a Walkman.
Nah, facts.
You said there's another one over there?
This one right there. That one.
I'm saying, is there another one by the liquor store?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we got this one.
But I know there's one at the store, across the street from the liquor store.
I don't want to use a store one. I want to use like a bank one.
Yeah.
I haven't used this card
Mm.
lately. It's been a while since I used it. So sometimes when you don't use your card for a while, you want to use it at a real bank type shit.
Facts.
Because by the time the bank is like, oh no, hold on now. Suspicious.
But nah, but I wanted to do that from the beginning, just form a team, and we could make shit pop.
Yeah.
But
Like I said, you gotta have a team.
niggas is just, my niggas is blinded to that. Not even blinded, like they expect they expect my shit to be OD pop, so they could jump in. Yeah, that's what I said in my mind too. You know what I mean? If RZA could form a team full of niggas from the hood.
Those are sterile niggas, my guy. You gotta.
Yeah, that too.
Niggas, my guy. You can't form a team with a bunch of scrub ass niggas.
Yeah, that too. You know what I mean? Too much. One nigga acting like a bitch, and the other one acting like a midlife crisis. And the other one acting like he lost in the sauce. Don't know if a shorty cup about to pull up, or like what the fuck? I mean, trust me, I'm like, yo, trust me, my niggas, we can make this shit pop. And then at that too, watching all these gangsters movies make you really think too, like, yo, like all these niggas forming teams. You know what I mean? Like either they have some thorough niggas or some snake niggas type shit. They changed this one real good. This ATM shit, this one here, they changed this shit. It was good. What's good, people? We up in here live and direct. You feel me? About to hit the liquor store real quick. You know, about to get this bottle, pop this bottle all day, every day. You feel me? Holla at your boy. You ready? Know. You good? Good? No, let's go this way. This way. It's crazy. What she said?
Oh, you pushing out money because they didn't push out money for me.
What? Maybe you put the wrong pen.
Yeah, but don't try to ask me like I gave you your money.
Shit, I wish.
No, like, you gotta watch people around here.
Mm.
I mean, anywhere.
Yeah.
Like she was saying, oh, you pushing out money?
Hmm.
Yeah. What you mean? Yeah, it gave me money. She said?
I hate that. Yo, don't yell out some shit when you driving.
Yeah.
And the nigga can't hear you.
Like, bitch was trying to say, like, oh, I saw you took out some money. It wasn't taking out money from me. She was like, is it pushing out money?
Yeah.
I kind of caught that. I was like, that's why I was like, yeah, it gave me money.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris, I just trying to push your money. It ain't,
And push for me.
you know what
Yo,
I'm saying?
that's not my problem.
You better call that number.
Yeah.
Shut that shit down fast.
Yeah.
Don't come in with the little tricks.
That little underhand type shit.
You gotta slow down. Focus on your mind. I don't have time for all this.
See, I always like that about
All that
you.
flim-flam.
I always like that about you. You always keep it, yo, say what's on your mind, nigga.
Because I be watching people when they're talking.
Uh,
Like, trying to size them up.
yeah.
That's what I was doing.
There's some shit in here.
No, Donnie, this is from how y'all doing?
How you going? They're doing samples?
Yes.
What you got?
Yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. That's absolutely correct. We have some tequila, we have some whiskey, we have peanut butter whiskey, we have coconut
Peanut
rum,
what?
we have horchata, and we have
This one?
strawberry. That's regular whiskey.
Which one's the peanut butter?
Blind squirrel.
Peanut butter?
Peanut butter whiskey is actually pretty popular. A lot of people like it. A lot of people buy it all the time.
Just got a text message. Just texting.
This one sounds good.
It's actually pretty good. I get a lot of people buying that too.
Some of this with some of this. Oh, you got like a little shot I could taste?
Yes.
All right. Yeah,
Just tell me what you want to taste, and I got it. This is the taste and taste.
yeah. Okay, this one and this one. Let me taste these two. You don't mind being on YouTube, right? You don't mind being on YouTube, right?
Me?
Yeah.
On YouTube?
Yeah. It's like taste joint. Hold on. I like this little cups. It's pretty good. This one, right?
Yeah.
This one's pretty alright. Taste the peanut butter.
Yeah.
This one's pretty good.
Coconut rum.
Mmm. This coconut smells good too. This one's pretty smooth.
This one.
Oh, is this one?
Mm-hmm.
This one's pretty smooth.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty smooth. No cap. No cap. This one's alright too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. This is alright, my nigga. Yeah. This is alright. Full samples.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah. Really, the Patron. Oh no, I think I said Patron for a minute. These are always valid too. Have your own little cups or some New Year's Eve joint. About to get shit popping. This one probably have you twisted. Fireball. I can't. The reason I don't like Fireball, that should be just that Fireball shit. What's good, everybody? Drop a like, all that. Like some good liquor here, candy. You know? Yeah. Are you a mechanic, sir? Sorry. And they, this was why I feel bad for homeless people, right? Don't stand next to a spot where there's no traffic for you to get something. Go
Yeah.
go somewhere where there's traffic. You know? Just don't stand in one spot. Where you look crazy. Nah, I could understand, but go somewhere there's traffic where you can get a little bit of money. You know? Like right here. Stay right next to the door.
Yeah, walk this way.
Damn, that shit smell good. That bakery. Mmm. Mmm. Damn, them cookies smell good. Smell like good old chocolate chip. Just came out the oven fresh. Right? With some slick shit, with some nice good old milk. Some warm milk. I like warm milk, but sometimes. Nah, I'm good. Fuck out of here. There's customers. Wait for these cars. That's another thing I want to start covering too. Like I said, the cold cases. Yeah. There's some cold cases, some crazy shit.